What's up, everybody? We are back. UFC Fight Night Rosenstrike versus Gaziev finished a little bit ago, about the same time that the Apex cards usually start. But so we've got some fights to go over, and then we've got some predictions to check for both the handicappers and our fledgling system, B.L.A.B.S. It has seen better days, but it's early. Do not lose hope. Let's see what tonight had to bring. First fight was a lightweight bout between Abdul Karim Al-Sawadi and Loik Radzhabov. Both guys in great shape and hitting hard. Loik dropped Al-Sawadi in the first round and looked close to putting him out. In fact, it looked like Chris Tognoni went in there to stop it, but he was just smacking the hand off the fence, but it didn't get finished. Second round, Al-Sawadi looked pretty good, had more significant strikes, etc. In the third round, Radzhabov got the TKO. Looked like he knocked him in the top of the head and sent him reeling, and then jumped on him on the ground, had his right arm trapped and useless, and he wasn't using his left arm. He was just getting pounded repeatedly in the head. Tognoni was waiting to see if he wanted to fight back, but no, Chris, he wasn't fighting back. Before we get to the next fight, I got to see if anyone was as tickled as I was. Speaking of Chris Tognoni, the Apex fights, listening to John Anik call him Chris Tognoni and the ring announcer call him Chris Tognoni, used to drive me nuts. They both work for the same organization. They're both announcers. They both must work on the pronunciations of people's names. So which is it? And Tognoni never seemed to make a face one way or the other. Used to bother the hell out of me. And then tonight, finally, for the first time, I swear, in years, both the ring announcer, I don't know why I can't come up with his name right now, and John Anik said Tognoni. In my mind, I assume they had a fight backstage, and finally, Joe Martinez, that's it. Good Lord. Finally, Joe tossed him around a little bit, and they got it straightened out, so now they both pronounce it the same way. I thought it was hilarious. Odds are I'm the only one that cared about any of this, so I'll get back to it. Whatever, Obama. Go tell your buddy to retire already, for crying out loud. And I blame you for him. He was already scooped up by the dustbin of history, and you pulled him out to be a VP and give you some credibility. Good Lord. Second fight up was Ludovic Klein against A.J. Cunningham. A.J. Cunningham, of course, the short notice replacement. I hate short notice replacements. He gave it a go, but he was outmatched, outcamped, and it showed. Klein was hitting him with hard punches to the body, to the head kicks, body kicks. He was finding the chin, and a little ways into the fight, it kind of felt like it was a KO just waiting to happen. Cunningham, he was taking shots 2-1 at least, getting it worse than he gave, so towards the end of the first, it was over, TKO. Cunningham, he's young, he's got heart, and with his background, I just wish him all the best. Hopefully he can regroup, have a fight with an actual camp, and show us what he's got. This was a tough debut, and he stepped up. Next up, Christian Leroy Duncan, middleweight, taking on Claudio Ribeiro. This fight was ridiculous. Christian Leroy Duncan looked great, but so could I have. Ribeiro didn't do much besides turtle up, cover his face. He had nice purple hair. In fact, I think lavender was beautiful. But other than that, he didn't offer much. The final tally was Christian Leroy Duncan, 65 significant strikes. Claudio Ribeiro, 4. Not 40, 4. But Duncan did look nice, dictating the distance, spinning elbows, kicks. Even though basically Ribeiro was only guarding his head, Duncan would find a way to split the guard and pop him in the face anyways. And finally got the TKO a little way through the second. The fight sucked, but as a showcase for CLD, it looked decent. Piqued people's interest as far as looking forward to his next fight. So, moving along, we had Javid Basharat of the Basharat brothers taking on Ayman Zahabi, a bantamweight bout. Basharat definitely looked like the more sophisticated, cleaner fighter. Much more technique, much more variety, much more dictating the pace. Speedy kicks, combos with kicks, side kicks, uppercuts. Zahabi, for the most part, especially towards the beginning, was just winging punches wildly. The pace picked up in the second from both guys. Zahabi was still trying offense, but wild. He did buckle Basharat at one point and kept up with the strikes numbers-wise. With all I said about Basharat and his skills, he hits like he's got 2-pound pillows on his hands instead of 4-ounce gloves. Same with his kicks. Accuracy was great. Finding your spots was great. It seemed to have almost no effect on the man. Zahabi started looking better and better, connecting, sprawling, and avoiding Basharat's takedown attempts almost exclusively towards the end. And when we got to the decision, the judges unanimously picked Zahabi, and they were correct. The next fight, oh my goodness. Bantamweight bout, Vinicius Oliveira, Bernardo Sopai. Sopai taking the fight on short notice, 23 years old. Got to admire him for that. Sopai was hanging early, really giving it his best. He had a nice takedown, accurate ground and pound. Both guys seemed very confident. Oliveira ended up on top and got in some huge shots. His kick accuracy was great. High kicks, big punches. And again, why I don't like short notice replacements, Sopai was outmatched and didn't have the gas tank to get through 2 rounds, much less 3. He was just spent, couldn't catch his breath, just taking big gulps like he was robbing 7-Eleven. He was taking shots in the third without much defense at all. And then, holy Lord, Oliveira kicked him in the leg and sent him stumbling backwards, and then got him with one of the nastiest flying knees I've ever seen. Just crumpled him like a sack of meat. I think easily the best knockout so far this year. Sopai had to be helped out of the ring, mostly because of the leg, I believe. He recovered from the knockout eventually. He did go with an extra $50K for being part of the fight of the night, and Oliveira got the fight of the night as well as performance of the night for a cool 100 G's, baby. Like the Jeffersons, let's keep moving on up. Middleweights Eric Anders and Jamie Pickett were next. Pickett had already announced his retirement after this fight, before the fight. Apparently he rides bulls as well as various other interests, including a young daughter. Anders was throwing some strikes. He threw a head kick, some knees, but mostly he was doing one punch into takedown attempts he wasn't having much success with early on. So there was lots of clinching. When he did get him down, it was mostly about control, not so much about damage. Pickett was swinging. He was in on the offense, but although he's got a hard right hand, he was outstruck about 3-1. When he did take Pickett down, much of the time he was able to get up relatively easily. Takedowns got easier as the fight went on. They were pretty simple in the third round. But Anders couldn't finish, and can't really grapple. He was able to take Pickett down, and then that's where the story ended. This was a bit of a yawner. Unanimous decision, Eric Anders. And Pickett, enjoy messing with those bulls. Just don't get the horns.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Next up were flyweights Steve Erceg and Matt Schnell. This fight was pretty incredible. These guys were cracking. They're both quick as hell. Erceg was throwing quick straights, popping him in the face. Schnell was throwing hard combos at a left hook. Both of them were throwing uppercuts, whatever they could get their hands on at a million miles a minute when they clashed. Schnell was cut like in the first minute of the fight. It bled a lot, but it seemed to be like level with his eye. And although it looked bad, it didn't really affect the fight. They each had each other wobbled at times with great punches. And then in the second, Erceg cracked him with a left hook that just dropped him dead. That'll be one of the best KOs we see of the year, and it wasn't even the best one of the night. Pretty wild. And it earned Erceg another $50,000 with the last performance of the night bonus. Bantamweights Umar Nurmagomedov and Bekzat Almakhan were next on the card. Almakhan was giving it a go. He dropped Nurmagomedov with an early right. Nurmagomedov, the minus 1,200 favorite at fight time. But mostly Almakhan was overswinging or on his back. He had no ground game, no takedown defense. When he was on the bottom, best he could do was bursts of energy trying to push him off to one side or sneak out, but it really didn't work a whole lot. Nurmagomedov had lots of top control, average ground and pound when he'd get to it. He was taking him down a few times by nice straights to the face. But I think with all the hype that he should have humbled Bekzat, or at least finished him. You could tell Umar Nurmagomedov is trained like crazy, but he might have trained right out of a killer instinct if he ever had one. Not that excited about him, but we'll see. Who am I? Exactly. On we go to flyweights, Alex Perez versus Mohamed Mokaev. Perez was a gamer, definitely had some striking success, some good elbows in the clinch, swinging hard, but not connecting much for both actually early. Mokaev got some ground and pound in at the end of the first. Seemed very refined even at 23. Was getting takedowns in the third. Had a nice suplex. But the fight overall was Mokaev says he was sick, so we actually watched a tremendous performance by him and his team. But I know I didn't hear him say that he wants to fight for the belt next. I know I didn't hear that. The co-main event was between light heavyweights Vitor Petrino and Tyson Pedro. Man, Petrino is thick, muscles upon muscles, throwing jabs, throwing leg kicks. Pedro got some nice kicks in, nice front kick, but Petrino was never in danger. He controlled the fight. He was way too cautious to be impressive. He got the W, but that's about all that could be said. He's young, so we'll see, but I think a lot of guys won tonight and still lost stature. And now to the main event. You know, this would be a good time to just pause for a second and let everybody hit that like button and subscribe if you want. You know, there's no rushing through this. We got time. The main event of the evening was between heavyweights Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Shamil Gaziev. What a way to cap off the night. Gaziev looked like he might hang for a while, maybe through the first or so. He was finding some punches towards the second half of the first, but I think when he took his first shot and it was kind of half-hearted and didn't go down, I think maybe even in that moment it set the tone for the whole fight and just took all of Gaziev's confidence and stepped on it like a cockroach. He attempted a lot of lousy shots in the first, did finally get him down towards the end of the first, but this guy was sucking wind midway through the second. That's why, I mean, I know it's just a fight night and everything, but he had one UFC fight before this. I cannot stand the quick shoving of people into, even if you're going to do this fight, don't have it be a main event. I mean, respect us more than that. people ought to have 2 fights in the organization before they're main eventing. Rosenstrike just walked in there saying, look at the people that I've fought. Why would I fear this guy? And went to work, and all he needed was really one weapon jab. He did have some good calf kicks that were causing Shamil problems, but he just needed the jab. Jab was too quick for Shamil and just busted his face up over and over and over, especially in the 4th round. He just went to town. You could see Jairzinho smiling, doing a little juking and jiving stuff because he just knew it was completely in his control, which was not that great for the audience because we would have liked to see him try to put him out. But, strategically from his point of view, he's busting him up and not risking anything. So why change the formula? And then the debacle in the corner between the 4th and the 5th for Gaziev was just ridiculous. Looked like everyone in his corner was trying to force him to fight. He didn't want to fight. He just kept on talking about the jabs and how quick they were. And I don't think he wanted to go in there for a 5th round and get punched in the face for 5 minutes without being able to do anything about it. His heart was broken at that point, and he came up with, I can't see out of my eye, even though there was no problem with it. And that was it. I think if the doctor determines that you can go on, then maybe you should be forced to go on or forfeit some of your purse. But I don't think a doctor would ever say that. I mean, they would defer to the person that says they can't see. There's a million reasons why you couldn't see. It's not necessarily eye damage. Could be having a stroke or something, or who knows. So, but methinks his eye was fine. So what is Jairzinho, like 4 out of his last 9 or something? I've always liked him, but I don't see where he's going. Okay, well, that'll wrap it up. We know now what happened with the fights. Let's remind ourselves who picked whom. And remember now, this week was all jumbled up. They were throwing fights together at the last minute, so our guys were only able to bet on 9 community fights early on in the week, which is when we do the picks for the show. So the odds are from DraftKings Sunday night, Monday morning. We were only able to do 9 of the 11 fights as far as the betting leaderboard for this week. So, but here we go. Okay, we've seen their picks. Let's see how they each did overall. Per usual, we'll start in 5th place and work our way up to 1st. We have MMA Experts, who for the 2nd week in a row won the money. He went 7-2 of the 9 fights that were available at the time that we gathered everyone's picks. Of our 9 fights, there was a core group of 7, the middle 7, that all 5 of our guys picked exactly the same on. So the only variations were MMA Experts, who sniped the underdog on the very first fight, picking Radzhabov. Everyone else was on Al-Solwani. And then the very last fight, DFS by the numbers and MMA-Guru both liked Rosenstrike and picked up some plus money winnings there. AJ was the biggest winner at MMA Experts because Radzhabov was worth $10 more than Rosenstrike as far as dog money. For us, anyway. So MMA Experts will add $111.44 to their previous total for a new total of minus $508.20. Congratulations on coming out on top 2 weeks in a row, heading in the right direction. Angelo with We Want Picks is next up in 4th place. They went 6-3, as did Sherdog. The only difference between them and the 7-2ers is that they didn't pick either Radzhabov or Rosenstrike to pull the upset. So he went 6-3, taking his record to 50-30. That's a 63% winning percentage. But dollar-wise, it added up to a minus $128.56 for the week, bringing him to a new total of $504.83. Looks like we got a little raise for 4th brewing. Nice. Benjamin Duffy over at Sherdog.com is next up. He went 6-3 as well, claiming a 51-29 record, 64% winning percentage. It's interesting, so far each position we've just increased the win by 1. Things are tightening up. In dollar amount, again, like We Want Picks, it's a minus 128.56 for the week, bringing Sherdog's new total to minus $334.06. In case you haven't noticed, my S's are brutal, so apologies for that. Let me remind everybody about the dollar amounts here. We're not trying to present a negative number and say, man, these guys suck. I expect them all to end in the negative. No one can actually bet every fight. For the favorites, you're winning $30. If they get upset, you're losing 100. So when actually betting, picking your spots is the key to it all. That said, again, this provides valuable information comparing the guys against each other and also their propensity to pick dogs when they should be picked and to avoid big favorites when they're overvalued, things like that over the long haul. So don't look at the dollar amount as if, oh my God, they must be selling their cars or taking out second mortgages on their homes. If you're actually getting your wallet out, then listen to the actual shows that I pull their picks from. In fact, I'll start adding the links to the description as well as their channel links. But listen to the shows directly and see what they say about each pick. Some of them, they'll tell you straight out they've already put a bet on. Some of them, maybe they're waiting until a line hits a certain spot or something. So there's definitely more information in the, half hour or hour shows of each of these fellas than I can translate here in this show. And don't forget, theoretically, the B.L.A.B.S system is here for you as far as pick suggestions as well. The whole idea of it is to try to skim the cream off the top of their picks. So consider that as well. But to just look at one of the guys' picks up and down the whole card and think that you have information enough to wager without either doing your own research or listening to them directly or letting B.L.A.B.S sort through each of the fights is not the smart way to go. All right, that's my public service announcement for today. MMA-Guru comes in 2nd place. Looks like he's trying to put a little distance between himself and the rest of the people trying to chase first. He went 7-2, improving his overall record to 53-27. That's a 66% winning rate. He's going to add $101.44 onto his previous total for a new total of $235.23. Another nice week for Guru. I'm curious to see whether DFS by the numbers can hold pace in first place or not. Let's find out. As we noticed before, it looks like keeping pace with Guru is exactly what DFS by the numbers did. also going 7-2 with the exact same picks. His overall record moves to 52-28, a 65% winning percentage. Like Guru, he's going to add $101.44 to his previous total, bringing his new tally to $273.96. Still good enough for first place. So it looks like the lineup is going to stay how it is, which I expect to happen more and more as the season goes on. Obviously, your stats, like anything else, get more solidified as the sample gets larger. But we've got a couple nice races within the race on the leaderboard, which is wonderful. So all we have left to do is check out how B.L.A.B.S did. And this week was pretty boring, obviously. If you watch the picks video, there were so many favorites this week, and I've got the B.L.A.B.S system kind of tightened down. So we wouldn't have had any picks if I had the rules shaped just like I'm going to have them. But for the sake of having at least one pick, we waited to adjust till this next coming card, the pay-per-view card. So we were only riding one pick, but let's see how it did. Despite the warning from MMA experts about Radzhabov, our rules dictated that we follow the 4 of 5 other guys on Salwati at a -166, which wouldn't qualify starting next week. And of course, you got TKO'd. So we went 0 for 1 for the week, bringing us to 23-18 overall. That's a 56% winning rate now. That was a half unit bet on the 4 out of 5 guys liking the pick. So we lose $50 from our old total of $11.69 for a new total of minus, yes, we've joined the minus crowd, -$38.31. We're very disappointed, but I'm going to lock in the rules where I want them and leave them for, I'm going to say a month, but I'd take the under on that. And it's going to turn around in a big way for the pay-per-view coming up. The guys are going to be on fire, and we're going to be subsequently scorching. So look forward to that next week. That'll wrap it up for this one. Please give me a like and a subscribe if you haven't and don't mind. It only takes a second and makes a huge difference for the reach of the videos. So I'm going to start gathering the guys' picks for the O'Malley Vera pay-per-view next week. And as soon as they all get them in, I'll be at work getting the video to you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the viewership. Till next time.